Stonewall National Museum and Archives opens historic 3 new exhibits. Over the weekend, Fort Lauderdale's Stonewall National Museum and Archives held a special opening of not 1, but 3 new LGBTQ+ community exhibitions. I attended the opening on Friday night with Queer News Tonight and friend-ish person, Al Ferguson. The major exhibit was Follow the Yellow Brick Road. The exhibition follows the events prior to Stonewall in 1969 that were important moments in LGBTQ+ history, but, like Kansas in the movie, they remained in black and white. The exhibit shows how it was Stonewall that thrust us into the age of color, flags, and pride. This exhibit marks key moments in our history along with moments in Stonewall National Museum and History's archives. These 2 trajectories travel the same yellow brick road heading towards Oz, which has always been just a little bit out of reach. The exhibit suggests we may have thought we had arrived there at least a few times, only to be disappointed. The exhibit uses references from The Wizard of Oz, something that has become part of our community's culture, as an illustration of our own ups and downs over the past 50 years. I was moved and honored that my cover on SFGN and my story of the censorship we are facing in this year was included in the museum exhibition. In the Ross Gallery is the Hey Groomer exhibition. It explores code words that are used against the LGBTQ+ community. The final exhibition launched in the library is Katz, not the musical. Jonathan Ned Katz. He's one of the foremost scholars of LGBTQ+ history and recently donated a significant part of his library to Stonewall. The collection of over 850 volumes is the largest the organization has ever received from a single donor. The new executive director, Robert Keston, gave a motivational speech on the exhibition and the importance of keeping the history of LGBTQ+ people in front of all of us. Queer News Tonight encourages you to visit and support the Stonewall National Museum, located on Sunrise Boulevard in Fort Lauderdale in the ArtServe building. Complete details about these new exhibitions can be found at stonewall-museum.org. And, I've written several stories on them, and to have my work published alongside so many other people, we're talking like Washington Post stories are published in this exhibition in New York Times. And each writer, myself included, is only one voice. But my God, when you see just a few of these voices huddled together and put out in front of you, and you think there's so many more of us that if we keep telling the stories, hopefully someone's going to start to read, someone's going to listen. And it was a really special night to be there, not just for the own honor that I got and the pride that my mother had is reflected on Facebook,
nice.
But also just for our entire community.
You're so humble, John. I mean, this story, I remember when the story...
John?
He is, except about his looks, because he really does think that he's hot. Anyway, but about your writing, you're a magnificent writer. You represent us so eloquently and so well. And how long is this going to be at the exhibit? How long is this exhibition going to be?
I believe it's about 2 months. But I don't know the exact date of closing.
I think 3 months. I
3
think
months?
at the end of the year.
We definitely have to go and support.
Yeah,
And I want to say congratulations to my fellow follically challenged Queer News Tonight bookend. It's an honor to sit across the table from you.
Thank you, Greg.
I am so excited to attend. This brings me back to my time in college. I went to NYU, and going to Stonewall, the bar, and not really having a lot of the context there. This is a perfect opportunity to get better educated and to spread the news through my Instagram blog.
John and I we went together to the exhibit. What was interesting is they were launching 3 exhibits simultaneously. And the exhibit is excellent. Robert did an excellent job with a great crowd for the opening of the exhibit. The 2 interesting things to me about this really have nothing to do with the exhibit. The first thing is, I wasn't a fan of the previous executive director of the Stonewall Museum. I think the Stonewall National Museum and Archives requires no justification at all in our community. It is so important, it is beyond important. Mm-hmm. Those archives that you don't get to see on a regular basis are so incredibly important for our history. Think of it as a version for our community of the Smithsonian. Mm-hmm. That's what this museum represents. Mm-hmm. The previous executive director didn't understand that and didn't do a good job with it. Robert is such a breath of fresh air from my standpoint, because he is there and not very tall, and he stands up in front of a crowd, and it's like a gay religious preacher, just explaining to you why you need to have this religion.
Like a tent revival.
A tent revival. And I just think that is a foreboding of great things that are coming for our community, led by this new executive director. And then the second thing that is really incredible on Friday, which is the thing that I come away with, was his message. His message, of course, he's talking about the three things. Congratulations, John, on having your cover and your article included in the exhibit. That's a wonderful moment. But really, that's not the important moment. And the Washington Post isn't the important moment. And the reflection of Don't Say Gay and DeSantis is not gay. The important thing is what the exhibit talks about, and then what he talks about over and over again. The LGBTQ community must keep our history in front of us. Mm-hmm. He says it over and over again. The three exhibits talk about it. The donor exhibit that he gets from Cats Not the Cat is a reflection of that the goal of the Stonewall National Museum and Archives is to keep our history in front of it. Let's go for happy hour. Great. But let's keep our LGBT history in front of us because it's vitally important. And that's why Friday night and the opening of these exhibits is so important. If you haven't been to the Stonewall National Museum lately, go back. It's time. It's time.
LGBTQ plus news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Laura are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out Television Network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the entire LGBTQ plus community.